Hello guys, welcome to part 1 of another tutorial series. This time I'll be doing the opening from Neon Genesis Evangelion called Cruel Angel's Thesis due to popular request. So this time around I'll be covering its 2 intros. So first it's lyrical. And then I'm going to be covering it with a new approach. I'm going to try teaching the chords just by themselves, and then teaching the melody just by itself, and then putting the two together. That's essentially how I came up with, especially this part of the arrangement anyway. So I thought I'd just teach it to y'all this way. So the intro starts off with C5, which is open, open, and on the E string put down 3rd fret, and on A string 3rd fret with just barring with your first fingers. If you've ever played Jake Shangokoro's While My Guitar Gently Weeps or Kalega Mio's Mach 4, this chord will be very familiar to you. The next chord is F minor, which if you're into punk rock, you'll see this chord a lot. You put your first finger on 1st fret of the G string, you leave C open, and then you put your 2nd finger on 1st fret of the E string, and you put your pinky, or your 3rd finger, doesn't really matter which one, on 3rd fret of the A string to get a nice C. So it's that chord. So far we have C5 and F minor. The next chord is a standard B flat. You can bar this one, but I recommend doing it with 3rd finger on 3rd fret of the G string, and then put your 2nd finger on 2nd fret of the C string, and then do a partial bar, kind of like what we were doing on C5, just move down to 1st fret with your barring 1st and 1st on E and A. So it's B flat major, so it's C5, F minor, B flat major, and then next is an E flat chord. But to aid us in doing the melody, instead of doing it the standard way, which is open 3, 3, 1, we're going to do a partial bar on 3rd fret and just not bother with the A string. So you just take your first finger and lay across 1st fret on G, C, and E, and I'm just doing a mute on the A so I don't accidentally play it. You don't have to do that, but I recommend doing it. And then that's halfway through. 残酷な天使のように. And then the next time around is basically the exact same thing, just with the last chord different. It's like 少年よ神話に. And then this time, rather than going to the E flat, it goes to an A flat major chord, which is basically an F chord moved up 3 frets with a bar. So in case that didn't make sense, I'm going to explain this. First, bar across 3rd fret all the way with your 1st finger. Then take your 2nd finger, put it on 4th fret of the E string. And then now take your 3rd finger, put it on 5th fret of the G string. So played through, that intro should sound like C5, then F minor, then B flat, and then partial bar E flat. Then back to C5, F minor, B flat, now this time go to A flat major. Now the melody here is the chorus melody. It's probably the most famous part of this song. So I'm going to have you finger the chords that you're playing, but not strum them. So it starts off with C5, so you're with this. The melody note starts on the C string, so just open C, and then kind of slide up the bar, so you're now adding the 3rd for the C string as well to the bar. And that's it for the C5 solo. And then next you go to the F minor chord. And this isn't strictly necessary, the A string. In fact, I think in the original video I'm not fretting it. But you pick F here on the E string, and then you put your third finger on 3rd fret of the C string. So it's back and forth. So F, so E string, and then C string, and then E string. And then you go to the B flat. And again, it's E string again. So you pluck that twice. Then you go to the A string. And then you put your pinky on 4th fret of the E string. And now you move to the E flat chord. And then you just pluck the E string, take your 3rd finger, put it on 5th fret, the C string, and then put it on, and just pluck the 3rd fret of the E string again. So that's a lot. I'm going to go over again. So on C5, you go open, 3, and then now on F minor, you pluck E string, and then put your 3rd finger down on 3rd, and go back to C, and then E. Now go to B flat. Now you pluck E, E, A string. Now put your pinky on 4th fret of E, E, and now you go to E flat, and then you pluck the E string again. And then you put down your 3rd finger on 5th fret, and you go back to E flat. Now it's halfway through. The next part, the chords are not quite the same, almost the same. The melody is a little different. So it's so again, you're fingering the C5, and you, instead of starting on the C string, you start on the E string. So E, pluck the G, and it doesn't matter 3rd or 4th finger. I like using 3rd, but it's probably better to use 4th. Hit 6th fret on the E, so, and now you go to F minor, and you just hit the A string, and then you hit the E string. So just without changing the fingers. Now you put on 3rd fret of the C string with your 3rd finger, and then you go to B flat major, and you just hit the A string. And then you put your pinky down twice. You do that twice. Then you put your pinky down on 3rd fret, and you go back to the A string. And one more time. Now just hit the A string on the A flat major chord. So doing that with chords, I'm just, every time I change a chord, or start with a new chord more like, I just kind of do all the strings there, so just let the chord ring. This is basically going to be what we just did, except with a few kind of strum picks rather than just regular picking. So you're going to start with the strum, and then you're going to do the 3rd fret. And now here, you're going to strum the F minor chord, but stop on the E string. Don't hit the A string, because the melody note is on the E string, so you want that to stand out. And if you have a higher note, the C note here will take away from the melody note F. Then you go to the B flat chord. Again, same thing, stop on the E string. You don't want it going to the A string because it'll detract from the melody until you want to move to that melody. And this one, again, you're stopping on the E because you're not fretting the A string. And then you go back to here. You just, once again, strumming, and again, stopping on the E string because that's where the melody note is. So basically, this is a common theme, motif, I guess, here. Except for the very beginning, you're going to be stopping on the E string pretty much. Until you get to this chord. So F minor, you go all the way because the melody's on the A string. And then B flat, same here, all the way down. last one you just strum. And that's it for the first part of the intro. So let's play it through a little slowly. 1, 2, ready, go. C5, then F minor, B flat, E, then back to C5, F minor, B flat, then A flat. So that's the first half of the intro. Then here comes the more exciting but probably simpler part. Now, it looks very exciting and fun, but it's just one note. So I'm just going to teach it to you. And then I'll just add strumming, basically. So you're going to want to finger it kind of oddly. So you're going to have your thumb kind of wrapped around the fretboard and muting this G string so it doesn't ring out. And then when you fret, you're going to be basically only using these two fingers, so it's actually a little different from how I plucked it just now. Sorry about that. But so you're going to have your thumb constantly resting here. And you're going to have your index finger, so your first finger, resting across the E and A strings without fretting it. This can be kind of tricky, but this is basically the same technique as a partial bar. So you're going to be fretting a note on the C string sometimes not with the first finger, but you're always going to have the E and A strings muted because all you want to hear is the C strings. The other strings are just there for percussion on this little bit. And again, even if you're fretting with the third finger or the fourth finger or the second finger, doesn't matter, you're still going to want to have this muted. So it starts off with open C string, and this is all in the C strings. I'm just going to give numbers. So open, and then a third, then fifth with your third finger, and then back and forth. And then shift up to fifth fret with your first finger. And you can do this with either your third finger or your pinky. Again, probably better to use the pinky, but I'm going to end up using my third finger. And you hit 10th fret. And then with your second finger, hit 8th fret. And see, this is why you should use the pinky finger and not be weird like me. Because you'll have to slide down to 7th fret with your second finger. And then go back to first fret, the 5th fret on your first finger. And then back and forth like that. Or you can use your pinky. And then 10th fret with your pinky. And then 8th fret with your third finger. And then second finger on 7th fret. And then you're going to want to slide your first finger back up again. And just kind of hit that. And then third finger on 10th fret. And then put your pinky on 12th fret. And now slide your first finger back down to 5th. And then 3rd fret. And this is where it gets a little weird, because then you start doing octaves. So you're just doing everything that you have been doing. Now you just put your pinky on 6th fret of the A string and kind of slide it up to position. Now, you're going to keep this pattern here, this 3 fret distance between the first finger and the pinky finger. And actually, there's 2 different ways to do this. You can either mute with your thumb, continue to do that, or what I like to do when I'm doing an octave is I like to move this first finger a little bit so that I'm not fretting with this part of my hand, where you normally fret, but more this part of my hand, my finger I should say, and I'm using the part that I usually fret with to mute the G string. I just feel it's easier to strum that way. You don't need to do it that way. But so you just kind of finger that and then instantly slide it up to 10th fret. So now you have 10th and 13th on the C and A strings. Then you just go 10, 10, 7, and then back to 10, 10 again, 12 and 15. So that's kind of confusing. So we'll go over again. So it's open, and then do kind of a hammer on there. And if you can, do a tremolo, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. It's not very important if you don't do it. Hammer on there to 5, 3, 5, up to 10. 7, 5, 7. And 7, 10, 12, 5, 8. And this is where you put this here. So that's 10, 7, 7, 10, 10, 12. So, sped up a little. And honestly, the fingerings up here don't really matter that much. Just use what's comfortable for you. I gave you a set of things, but I actually rotate between 3 different fingerings or so whenever I play it. It's just whatever comes naturally to me at the time. And yeah, that's actually it for the 2 intros. From there, then it goes to the E flat chord, which starts the verse. So I'm also strumming this whole thing rather than picking, just to give it more emphasis, and just fill it with whatever rhythm you like. I'm not thinking too hard about this. Just kind of. And the more strums you do, the better. And yeah, that's it for part 1. So I hope this helped you with the intro. Next time we'll be covering the verse, which is something. Until then, stay tuned.